Good morning, everyone. Good to see y'all. As always, you're a good-looking crowd, and thanks for making it out today. I was telling someone that I started sprinkling when I got here about 8, and I said, Lord, just hold off just a little bit longer until we can have the seminar. So, but a great day today, and I want to give a shout-out to Scott. We were talking earlier, and we both became granddads for the first time 2 weeks ago. Our granddaughters were born, grandson and granddaughter, on the 25th, so that was funny. And see me after, and I'll show you lots of beautiful pictures of Aria Grace is her name. So some of you probably have met my daughter. She's typically out here at the registration table, but she's home today for a couple days. But I want to welcome each one of you. This is your first time, a big special welcome. A little bit of housekeeping. So bathrooms will be out here to your left. And then if you don't have a binder, those will be available after if you're a first-time guest. And also, if you haven't picked up one of the packets. So in the packet, you'll find lots of great information. And on the back, there'll be a feedback form. So those are really helpful to us. Please fill it out at the end. And then there'll be at the table over here, the little basket you can put that in. So I want to thank our educational partners today. And we encourage you to check out their tables and what they offer before and after each seminar. And we believe in seniors planning smarter as well. So, but today I would like our water sponsor and our pen sponsor to come on up. We'll do a little quick spotlight on those. So Caitlin can come on up, and Dr. A, if you want to come up. Ladies can come on up. Tell us who you are, who you work for, or what service you own, and tell us a little bit about what you provide.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Caitlin Bickerstaff with Truewood by Merrill, Georgetown. We're right off Williams Drive, right before the turn into Sun City. We're assisted living and memory care. We've been there for 12 years, a lot of the same team. So if you have any questions about us, you can always come, let me know. We also have a lot of exciting seminars coming up that are hosted by different people. So if you want more information, make sure to grab a flyer before you leave. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akanksha. I also go by Dr. A. I'm a physical therapist by trade and the owner of Comfort Care Home Care. At Comfort Care Home Care, we provide non-medical home care services. What that means is if somebody is coming back from hospital, they need extra support, extra care at home, our amazing, amazing caregivers are able to do that. We can provide services anywhere from few hours, 2 hours, to 24/7. We also have a free respite care program. If you guys are interested in learning about that, I'd be more than happy to help. So yeah, if you have any questions, please ask me. I'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and ask our panelists to come on up to the stage again. We've got Care Patrol, Heart to Heart. We've got Truewood, Visiting Angels, RW Home Loans, Senior Services of Austin. We've got GTX Wealth, Rainy and Rainy. You guys can come on up. And again, Comfort Care, and also Seniors Living Smarter, which is comprehensive downsizing services that we provide here at the bright orange table. Check us out. And the Oscar and Watermere. There you go. There you go. Hey. So you guys can go ahead and sit down. We typically have our director chairs, you know, those kind of blue ones with the arms, but someone's a little wide today, so we can't have, you know, it's the guns and stuff, so he couldn't sit in a director chair. We had to You're lucky I'm not a female. I know. If he was a female, I would not say he was wide. I just want to know. But so I was talking to somebody just a few minutes ago, and they said, I think this is such a great day to have this seminar. When I was pulling in, somebody pulled in the wrong way, and so you know we all need a little bit of help once in a while. But who drives regularly every day? Yeah, so most of us. Who finds that driving at night is getting a little more difficult? Me too. I don't like to drive at night. Who knows somebody that probably shouldn't be driving? Don't look to your left or right now. Just keep straight ahead. So This is going to be such a great seminar today, and I'm going to put this out there. We're going to talk about it later, but we've got another exciting event tomorrow morning. It's a car fit event, and I'll have Megan kind of talk a little about that, and there'll be some information on the screen, but also there's a sign-up sheet, but we're going to tell you all what that's about. But thank you, panelists, for being here today. So we'll start with Megan. Just introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Megan Frazier. I'm an occupational therapist by training. I also hold a Texas driving instructor's license, and I'm also a driving rehab specialist. I own 2 different companies. One is called Functional Stability and Mobility, which is an adaptive driving program which offers evaluations for driving fitness. We also own HD Driving School, which is a driving school for kids with different types of learning styles and physical disabilities.
And you're a trooper. She tore her meniscus a couple days ago.
Yes, on a yoga accident. It wasn't even anything fun.
So if you see her hopping around, you're going to know why. But I'm thankful you're here today. Miss Stephanie.
Happy Thursday. Stephanie Featherston, a local State Farm insurance agent, by way of being a former school teacher. So it was the perfect impact for me. I've been here since 2008, and I am located in the Jimmy John's complex, so right off of University. I always say we're bookends. They're on one end, and then I'm on the other end. So you get your sandwich, and then you come get your insurance. So yes, I'm very excited to be here, and I'll hopefully be able to offer some guidance in that area of driving.
Can you hear me now? I don't know what happened. Is it on? Okay, sorry about that. So I'm Officer Salinas with the Georgetown Police Department. I've been there a little bit over 15 years. My phone number is 911. We deal with drivers all the time, all kinds of weird things that happen on the roadway. And I could also talk about like stats and things. As the city's growing, you see more traffic, construction, and all that kind of thing. So I'll kind of piggyback off whatever they say and whatever you guys want to ask. That's what I'm here for.
Great. Thank you guys so much. One of the things, too, I was talking to some of the EPs earlier, and personal experience. One of our educational partners a while back had to work with their dad, their parent, to kind of take away keys. Like they were becoming dangerous driver, and we're talking about sort of the independence factor, right? People want to be independent, and how that plays into it. So it's can be a very loaded issue, especially with adult children and parents. But again, and we'll talk about some of these things. Vision changes, reaction time, flexibility, and so Megan, let's pump this first one over to you. So, what changes most impact driving as we age?
There's a lot of different changes, and one of the stats that I love to talk to older adults about is if you have had more than 2 falls, it makes your risk of being in a car accident grow by 10%, right? And so when I'm talking to people, they say, well, why is that? What is it about falls especially? And the reason I bring that up is because it's going to answer this question. I don't know about, I did hurt my knee, so I do fall. But generally, most people don't fall, right? And so when someone does have a fall, something has caused it, especially repetitive falls. It could be vision. Maybe you've had a visual change. Maybe it's that you have a depth perception. You're not seeing this step the way you should. Maybe you catch your toe. Maybe when you're going up a curb, you don't know where to put your foot. Maybe it's what we call contrast sensitivity, night driving. Maybe your night driving has changed. Maybe it's the way your brain is interpreting the world around you. So for instance, everybody knows the construction here in Texas. The lanes go this way, the cones go this way. And you're trying to go, do I follow the cone or do I follow the lane? That's not just vision, it's also cognition. Maybe cognition has changed and that's caused your fall. Maybe you're a little confused. Maybe you're dehydrated that day and your brain's a little fuzzy. Maybe you're not thinking as quickly as you used to. Or it just could be something physical going on. Maybe you hurt your knee. You're not able to lift your leg the same way. Maybe your balance is off. Maybe your coordination is off. It could be a combination of all of those things. So it's like a domino. Take away one domino, maybe you're okay. But when people say, hey, what can impact someone's driving, it's not usually just one thing. It's kind of a combination or a culmination of something in each of those areas. And it's not just one medical condition. It could be those layered on top of each other.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I'll tell you this. I don't know if any of you take DB Wood to, from Williams to University. That's been a hot mess for a while. And the other day, I was driving back to Williams, and there is that the lines kind of went that way, but you were supposed to stay straight. And I had this moment of like, am I driving on the right side of the road? And so sometimes it's not always clear, even in broad daylight, So, but Officer Salinas, what are you seeing as some of the most common accidents with older drivers today?
Well, one of the things, first of all, Georgetown, because of traffic and the way it's growing, even though it's a low crime city, we don't have as many officers per population as we used to. So when we used to have 30 crashes a month average, we're up to like 300 a month crashes. So we don't do as much traffic enforcement like we used to. So we'll see people running red lights or speeding. We can't stop them because we're going to a call, and our traffic units are mainly working crashes. So it makes it a little more dangerous. For us, speed is a big one. So usually my younger drivers, they're driving way too fast. My senior drivers are 15 miles below the speed limit, and they have somebody who wants to go 15 miles over the speed limit, tailgating them. A lot of the crashes are in Wolf Ranch. Everybody's looking how many people are at Chick-fil-A, then they stop, traffic moves, they get rear-ended. But for the most part, it's usually speed or distracted driving. If you're not blessed like I am to have a wife next to me that's always telling me, no, I'm just kidding. But it's usually speed related. A lot of it with our seniors is, I think only twice in my 15 years I had to fill out the form where, like, sorry, ma'am, you can't drive. They're coming up Williams, they turn left on DB Wood, but they turn against traffic. That happens quite a bit. They slow down way too much if there's an emergency vehicle, which causes other people to rear-end them. They just, like she was saying, all the fill in the blank, all those things, little by little, you may not notice it. You think you're doing fine, but the people around you, watching you, they'll see it. So it's mainly that. It's just age.
Yeah. So let's do a little quick public service announcement. So the intersection at DB Wood and Williams Drive there, right? So you've got the HEB and UFCU that I feel like probably once a month there's some accident right around there. But tell me, when you have a flashing yellow light, does that mean go into the intersection and wait? What does that really mean?
No.
Talk to us about that.
No, so and people do this all the time. There's so many things. I could talk for hours, actually. But flashing yellow light means you could turn if it's clear. You pulling up to the front, and then it turns red, you're running a red light. So you're not supposed to. But because most people are used to it, you may have somebody behind you honking or whatever. Nope. By law, you're not supposed to block the intersection, because if it's not open, it's not clear, you're going to be running a red light. So that's not what it means. It only means you're free to turn left if it's safe to do so. That's what it means.
Yeah, I think we've all been behind the folks that kind of keep easing
Yes.
out there, and then
Yeah. It's against the law.
So, Stephanie, talk to us about how age or driving habits impact insurance as we get older.
So I often share with my clients that when you think about driving and you think about rates, as we continue to age and stage and level up, that the rates start to look very similar to what they were when you were just starting to drive. And so there's a specific reason why that's the case, and you just heard them. All of those attributes, all of those characteristics happen when it's an inexperienced driver and guess what else we just heard from the professional of when they also happen. And so when you think about rates, those are the two areas, the youthful driver and the leveled up drivers, that have two areas of concern, the at-fault accidents, the things that may cause the reason why the accident occurred. If there's anything in your rate that reflects you being the responsible party for why the accident occurred, that's going to impact your rate. So the two major areas that you can look at, like if you could just go home, kind of like the secret menu at Starbucks, this is information that you can look at in your in your auto policy to just see the secret menu. Look at your liability rate, and then go all the way down and look at your collision rate. Add those two numbers together, divide it by your total premium, and that will let you know that what's happening is the rate is having pressure on the fact of your, not just you specifically, but the market in terms of why your rate is what it is. Is anything that you are at fault for. Hitting the mailbox that has not moved, and it hadn't moved for the last 30 years, but all of a sudden you hit the mailbox. And yes, it is an accident, and we call those accidents, but did the mailbox move? And you hit it, that means it's responsible, right? Opening your door, hitting the pillar at the bank. I don't know why the pillars have to be concrete. I don't, yeah. But hitting the pillar at the bank. Again, did the pillar move? Nope. But it could be a depth perception scenario. That's the same thing that happens on the inexperienced driver. They're, in many cases, it's interesting, I was thinking about this morning. I was talking to a team driver yesterday, that at some point they become cocky and they think they got it all figured out. And on the other end of the spectrum, we become cautious. And so both at an extreme can be a concern.
Yeah.
I just want to add something too also. Statistically, older drivers are more injured in accidents. It's not necessarily because you are worse drivers. It's your bodies are not the same as younger drivers. I just learned that too, right? And so unfortunately, as we age, when we are in a car accident, older adults get injured at a higher rate, and the injuries are more catastrophic. So for instance, if you crash into someone and the airbag goes off, and the airbag hits maybe a 20-year-old man in the chest, yeah, he's going to have some bruises, he's going to be a little bit sore. But if the airbag goes off and the seatbelt locks for someone who's in their 80s, they could potentially break their sternum. The bruises are going to be a lot deeper. Maybe they could break their clavicle. And so the amount of injury that happens to older adults therefore equates to higher hospital bills and all of those other aspects that come with having more seriously injured themselves in that accident. So that's another piece of that as well, is our bodies are a little bit more fragile as we age.
Yeah, that's good. So when we talk about driving, staying independent, driving safely, what are some practical changes or things people could do right now when they leave this, seminar to make an impact, to make a difference or change?
Really self-evaluate where you are. And understand kind of what your limitations are. As adults, we can say, maybe not moving as fast as I used to be. Do I really need to be driving to Wolf Ranch? Or if I live in Sun City, could maybe I go to that HEB that's a little bit closer? Do I really need to go to the HEB at Wolf Ranch? Is that going that extra distance and going in those more complex driving environments really the best thing for me? And I think taking a moment and self-evaluating where you actually are is a really good just step that you can do. Also being open to what your family members are saying. It's really hard to hear when we have changes, but actually taking a second and getting that feedback, because they really just want to keep you safe. Spouses, children, we don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be told what to do, but they really are a lot of times coming from an area of love, and they want to keep you safe. I know a lot of AAA has some great programs. We're going to talk about CarFit. CarFit's amazing. Even if it is raining tomorrow, please think about going. You don't even have to get out of your car for it. Even just taking those little simple steps could make a world of difference.
If I could add too, I was just going to also mention, if you're in doubt, don't. And so from a border perspective and determining what your boundaries are, as soon as you start thinking, I don't know if I feel good about doing X, that's probably the first indication to don't do it. And so it goes back to just establishing your boundaries. You know, again, thinking about that youthful driver, like when you had teens or you have grandkids, you know, there's always this boundary that says, okay, you can go just as far as the high school, and then you can come back. And then that continues to grow a little bit more in the other direction. Okay, now you can go to your friend's house in the high school, and then you come back. Why are you in San Antonio? Because that wasn't part of what we said. None of that was part of what we said, right? So from that perspective, I would say think about it in terms of if you're in doubt, don't do it, because that is already telling your heart and telling your gut that this may be outside of my comfort and this may be outside of where I want to be feeling good and confident about my independence.
That's good.
So if you're in doubt, don't drive out. Is that a good one?
Hey, that's a good motto.
There
You're
you
in
go.
doubt, Jolt, drive out.
Yeah, for me, the only thing is, like, for example, I live in Round Rock, but if it's 4 o'clock past that, I'm not going to HEB. It's crazy traffic. I'll wait till 7 p.m. There's things I avoid, not because I don't trust my driving, I just don't want to punch people in the face. So, because traffic is horrible and people run red lights, not one car, it's 3 cars on a red light kind of thing. So know your limits, self-analyze, you know what you can and can't do. Try and go when it's either less traffic or, like they all said, not too far. Take an Uber if you're going downtown to the square for an event. Traffic is horrible, parking is horrible. Just take an Uber. They'll come pick you up. They'll come take you home. Just know your limits. That's the best I could tell you.
That's good. You were just, as you were talking, I was thinking, let's talk about how, as you age, do you have to become more of an offensive driver, defensive driver? You know, because you are anticipating that the young whippersnapper who's a little bit cocky and trying to, and you've got to be a lot more aware, maybe, of. I mean, talk about that.
The thing is, for example, if you live in Sun City, and you're in Sun City, the way you drive is actually pretty normal because everybody's driving the same way. They're taking extra time when somebody else is like, "Hey, man, it's wide open. Why aren't you going?" I'm like, I'm going to wait, even though the speed limit supposedly is 30 or 35, whatever it is. But when you leave your comfort area and you go somewhere else, the overcautiousness makes it dangerous. Because most people, they're expecting you to behave a certain way with traffic. You being overcautious, you're the obstacle there that's not driving normal. Now, that kind of people in Sun City, they're not driving normal for example, Sun City driving, because you have golf carts and things. So that's the main difference. The overcautiousness is just as dangerous as being too aggressive or not, because they are aggressive. So they expect you on a yellow light for you to punch it. So the car behind you is going to want to run on an orange behind you, and you're like, oh no, it's yellow light, you slam on the brakes way before, so you're not driving. I'm not saying run red lights. What I'm saying is being overcautious is actually not good.
I'm also going to add to that. When I come in to evaluate clients, and we do the clinical part at the house, which is like the cognition and the memory and vision and physical stuff, then we get in the car and we go for a drive. And I tell them, hey, I'm here to clean up all your bad habits. For number one. And so as we're driving along and I'm looking at your driving, I'm going to point out the things that are kind of considered bad habits at this point. And they'll say, well, I've been driving since I was 17 years old. And I say, yeah, but your 80-year-old brain is not a 17-year-old brain anymore. And so we have to talk about who you are now as an older adult versus who you were before, and then maybe what you got away with 20 years ago in Georgetown versus today in Georgetown, because we're comparing apples and oranges. They're not the same, so you can't drive the same way, right? And so it may be Georgetown 20 years ago, you could make a left turn and it was 1 lane to 1 lane. Well, now in Georgetown, you've got 2 lanes that turn and you got to know which lane to stay into, and then they cross into oncoming traffic sometimes, and you're going, oh my goodness, what is all of this? And so whether it's defensive or offensive driving, it's understanding that we're comparing apples to oranges and making those adjustments.
That's good.
I was just going to offer, it really doesn't matter because it's so common now, regardless of what insurance carrier you have, every single major insurance carrier has some form of a driver analytics program. And that driver analytics program is designed to help you save money, basically. But you're looking for, and most of the companies are capturing your driving behaviors and the time of day, your braking, your acceleration, your cornering, which how you turn a corner, your phone usage, and your odometer, like how much are you on the road. So the lesser that happens, the greater your discount, the greater your adjustments. So it doesn't matter, like I said, all the major insurance carriers have some form of that. And most objections to that is, oh, I don't want to be tracked. I don't want anybody knowing, I don't want blah, blah, blah. But how many people are using navigation in your car and talking to your navigation? It's the same technology. So if you're comfortable with that, then this will be something I would strongly recommend. Not only does that help, but it also gives you a chance to see just how you are functioning in those capacities. So I just wanted to throw that out as an opportunity for you to visit with your insurance agent or carrier and ask them about the driving analytics program, because that would be great for you all to give some consideration to help support some of these driving characteristics.
Now, Stephanie, is that like a box or something you put in your car, or is that just an app on your phone?
So yes, for State Farm, ours is both. If you're a State Farm client, then you can go to statefarm.com and do this. It's an app that you can put down on your phone, and that's part one. And then there is a beacon. And so the beacon is like a 2x2 giant piece of chiclet gum. That's the best way I can explain it. Shows up at your house, and then you sit in the car and you pair the app with the beacon, and the beacon just stays in the car all the time. It gives you a little bit of tape on the back to put behind your rear view. I don't recommend that. But put it down like in your console. It's hot in Texas. I mean, 3M tape on a window shield, it's a bad business. So just keep it like in your glove box or in your console. But yeah, every single major carrier has some form, because from an insurance perspective, what are our rates based on? Driving. I mean, so the closer we can get to your driving habits to match your rate, it's almost going to be as unique as your thumbprint. And so that's what that allows you to be able to do and take advantage of that, because you're probably not putting a lot of miles on your car. And so might as well get saving somewhere.
I was going to say, we tried it at home, my two daughters, my wife and I. It worked. It did drop our insurance a little bit. For me, I had to exclude a lot of things, because all of a sudden, you're pulling somebody over, you turn around doing 80 on Williams, it's going to go crazy, right? And for my mother-in-law, she was surprised how little she drives, and her insurance actually dropped, and she's 75, 76. She's an excellent driver, so it works. I recommend it. Unless you're a horrible driver, then don't.
Well, you'll still possibly get 8%. Literally 8%. Something's better than nothing.
So, Officer Salinas, what would be 2 or 3 simple changes that would make the biggest difference if you were to share with drivers today, the changes they could make?
I think change-wise, I might have already covered them. For sure, just your timing when you go out. Get out of the way for faster drivers, even though they're above the speed limit. Again, they're expecting you to drive at a certain rate and speed, because that's the norm there. It'd be like, I'm from down the border, a small town. Everything's slow down there. It's like, just slow. You come from like the Dallas metro area, they're going to go crazy down the border, because that's not the norm. So if you can't acclimate to the way they drive, go on the slow lane, anticipate turning way ahead of time. If it's difficult to make those right turns because of traffic, make a couple left turns or go somewhere else and get a traffic light instead. I even do that on the patrol car. Coming out of Dairy Queen, if you want to go on Williams, no way, it's crazy. So I'd rather go down the frontage road, down to Rivery, go all the way around to avoid getting T-boned somewhere. So those kind of things, I mean, most of us here are retired. So what's the hurry? Take your time, go a longer way, just a safer way. I think that might alleviate a lot of stress also.
I'd like to add something. This is actually not truly a behind the wheel change, but there will be a time when you won't be able to drive. We call it driving retirement. The stats say that most people will live 7 to 10 years past their driving ability, which means you'll have 10 years potentially where you are not able to drive for whatever reason. It could be physically or cognitively or vision related. And so you need to have a plan. So that would be one thing that I would ask for you to take away from what I'm saying today is kind of sit down and think, well, when I get to that point where I can't drive either temporarily or long term, what is that going to look like for me? Both from a physical aspect of getting someplace, Uber, Lyft. If you've never done it, try it, because it's really that easy, but it's really scary to take that first step. You have some financial planners here. Speak to one of them. What is it going to cost me if I have to pay for Uber or for public transportation or someone to chauffeur me away? Make those financial plans so that when you aren't able to drive anymore, you already have that plan in place. Because I can tell you, the people that I see, it's scary when you can't drive anymore. Because you're like, how do I get places? Where am I going to get my groceries from? How am I going to get to my doctor's? I just want to go out and get an ice cream sandwich. But if you already have that plan in place when someone says, whether it's myself or your physician or a family member, and they say, hey, you can't drive anymore, okay, great, I already have a plan, I'm safe. I know what I'm going to do next. But if you don't have that plan in place, you're going to be more resistive, and it's going to be a whole lot scarier to take that next step.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So when we talk about driving retirement and the idea of, not being able to drive, can be a pretty loaded, issue, emotionally, or I'm losing my independence, I'm, all these things. What are some things all three of you would tell somebody who feels disappointed or frustrated, that I can't drive, or I probably shouldn't be driving, that when they realize this and they feel not good about it?
I was just going to put one plug in on the heels of the Uber and you may want to double check this as far as the number of drive opportunities, but the city of Georgetown offers residents Uber access. You're already paying for it. So it's a certain number at which you can actually have access to if you need to use an Uber. So I would go to the city of Georgetown site and then look that up, because if you're a resident, you're already paying for it. And it's a certain number each month that you have access to be able to use it. So that's a great way to actually get started. It's called Drive GTX.
Right.
It's called Ride GTX.
Drive.
Is it drive or ride?
Ride.
Okay. See, that's what
Ride GTX.
Okay.
Ride. R-I-D-E. Ride
Somebody
GTX.
check if she should be driving, actually.
So yes, I wanted to just share that because yes, doing something from that perspective may be uncomfortable, not sure if this is going to be part of my budget, but it's already built in to your benefit of being a Georgetown resident. So that's a great place to check that out.
Yeah.
By the way, think about it this way. Don't rich people have drivers? You worked all your life. Take a break, man. Let somebody drive you around.
We call that being a passenger princess in my world. Sorry, men, but we call them passenger princesses. To answer your question, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to feel sad, because it is a loss. It's a loss of your independence. And so when people are like, I'm really mad about this, darn tootin' you are. You should be mad about it. This is a change, and most of the time, you didn't give your body permission to make it, whether it's cognition or physical. This just happened to you, and you just spent 60 years of your life riding around, taking your family, going whenever you wanted. Of course you're going to be upset. And so I think people sometimes want to sweep emotions under the rug when there's a big life change, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you that it's all peaches and cream when this happens. You are going to be upset, and it's going to feel like a loss, and you need to mourn that loss, and that's okay. But the next step is, once you've mourned it, find a way to keep going and get back out into the community in a different way. You haven't lost your independence of being out in the community. You've just lost how you're getting there. And just kind of planning that in your brain of, I can still get places, I can still go to church, I can still go to the grocery shop, I just have to rely on a different way to get there, and reframing that. But definitely mourn that loss, because that is a loss in your life.
Anything else?
I was going to say, being the angry part, it might sound kind of silly, but when I realized I needed readers, for the first time, because I was squinting a lot of people, somebody told me, hey, I think you need readers. I'm like, what do you mean? I could see. When I put them on, I'm like, wow. But I was upset because I don't like needing readers. I'm looking at something and I'm like, what the heck? I need and it is what it is. I just my eyes. I'm getting older. I need readers, and I hate it. Well, I made peace with it eventually, but I guess one day we'll get to maybe 10, 20 years, all these self-driving cars that aren't crazy trying to kill everybody on the roadway. It might change in 20 years, 30 years. I don't know.
It's right there. I'm just got a little
switch
hearing about it.
But it is what it is. It's just, we're changing. The first time I walked into Best Buy, and you know how they have cameras and you can see on the monitor? And I'm like, what the heck is this? I can't see back there. I see here. You know, I went from a 4-hit to a 5-hit to a 6-hit. And I'm like, it is what it is. You know, it's just,
Amen.
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I just want to add one more thing, too. You making the decision yourself is going to be a whole lot better than something, one, happening to your vehicle because you got into a really bad car accident and you hurt someone else, or there are medical conditions out there where you are precluded from driving. So for instance, if you've been diagnosed with dementia, you're not allowed to drive until you've had an assessment. And then that decision has been taken away from you because you have to have the assessment. And so your approach to it is also going to impact how you feel about it.
That's good. So you had talked earlier about a driver evaluation. What happens in that process, and how does it? First of all, how does it get started? Like, what's the starting process, and then having a driver evaluation? What does that mean, really?
Sure. So there's different ways that you can come to us. Some people just self-refer. We work with a lot of the neurologists, primary care physicians, gerontologists in the area. They will send over referrals. If you're seeing a physical therapist or an occupational therapist outpatient for maybe a hip replacement or something that happened, stroke, they can refer to us. Typically, what an evaluation looks like depends on the company that you use. Some are hospital-based, so you'd actually go to the hospital, do the clinical evaluation there. Sometimes they have a vehicle, sometimes they have a driving simulator. It just depends on the program. With our program, we're home-based, so we would actually show up at your house, knock on your door, come sit at your kitchen table, do the clinical evaluation where we would look at cognition, vision, physically how you're moving, balance, coordination, and then we would actually get behind the wheel and go for a drive. We typically drive for about an hour, and then we discuss, how did you do? Are you following the rules of the road? Our assessment follows, what does a DPS actually look like on a third-party road test? Are you following the rules? And then we, of course, tie any medical. You know, maybe you have cataracts, maybe you have some mild cognitive impairment, maybe you have Parkinson's disease. And so we're looking at how is any medical conditions impacting your driving safety, and then we make recommendations from there. There are, again, medical conditions where that is a requirement. Parkinson's disease, dementia, certain types of strokes, brain injuries, things like that, that do have requirements that are set forth by the Medical Advisory Board.
That's good. So, punt this over to Stephanie. What are some things as we age that we should look at in our policy? What things should we reevaluate, and how often should we reevaluate those?
I think you should reevaluate on an annual basis. Insurance is not, as I share with my clients, there's insurance and then there's protection. And so if all you're doing is allowing your payment to be drafted, or you're cutting the check every 6 months because you know you have to have it, then you're paying for insurance, but you're not investing in your protection. And the only way you know what you have is if you sit down and review it. And so as your vehicles start to age, oftentimes we're like, I don't need all those coverages. My vehicle is, 15 years old. Just drop that. That's not really the question, because that's on the insurance bucket. The question is, if something happens to your 15-year-old vehicle that's in incredible condition and only has 23,000 miles on it, what do you want to happen if it is in an accident? Do you want to have it replaced? Do you want your insurance carrier in the boat with you to help you replace that? Or are you just going to cut a new check for a new car? Those are the kinds of things that talk about protection. So if you're only writing that check and, under the breath, like, I can't believe how much this insurance is, blah, 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 I'm writing a check again, that's the perfect time to have a conversation and sit down and take a look at the coverages, because that's the number one question that comes up. My car is this age. I don't think I've paid for it. I don't think I need these coverages. But that's what it is. That's not what it does. And if you're only cutting a check, you're not really understanding what your policy does. And really and truly, there's like 8 coverages on your policy that you can have or not have. And oftentimes we're just thinking, who's fixing my car? And do I have something in place if I hurt somebody else? That's it. But the reality, there's so much in between those, and you're just really not going to know unless you're sitting across from someone or on the phone and making it an important piece of the puzzle, if that helps.
Along those lines, what are some common coverage gaps that you're seeing as people, folks get older, we get older? What are some things like when you sit across from someone saying, we should include this coverage, or we should, what are some gaps in that?
I see the first gap is probably comprehensive and collision, and so that's kind of what we were just talking about in terms of comprehensive, the things that happen to your vehicle that you didn't cause. So you hit the live animal, okay? You didn't, or the animal hits you, but you hit the live animal. Oftentimes we remove that coverage. Someone steals your car, someone breaks in your car, hail damage, all of those things fall under that comprehensive coverage. That same coverage that you could think, I don't need it, because on the streets, as we call it, you refer to that as full coverage. Well, it's more than that. So that's the first one. The second one is collision. That is also part of that on the streets language of full coverage. I don't need collision because I paid for my car. Collision is when you hit the stationary object, and now you have a huge dent in your car, and you're like, ooh, didn't mean to do that. Can you all help me fix that? And if you only have liability, we can't help you fix that. And so oftentimes, those are the 2 big ones, I will say, that are the first to come off of a policy as clients level up and pay for cars and not driving as much. Those are the first 2 coverages that typically come off. The final thing I'll say on that is there's a coverage called medical payments or personal injury protection. Go home, look at your policy, kind of like Officer Salinas said. If you look at your policy and you're like, I still have personal injury protection on my policy, you don't need that. Personal injury protection covers 2 coverages: medical payments in the event that you're in an accident and you suffer injuries that need to be addressed, and or loss of earned income. So if you're retired, is there an loss of earned income that you need to protect? What can you have instead of that? MedPay. Medical payments will take care of those injuries that you might sustain or that medical attention. So these are the things that when you're only doing insurance and you're only writing the check, that you're like, oh, I had no idea. Now the expectation is, former school teacher, you're not going to get a quiz on it. Right, you're fine, but it will help you start with that muscle memory, and it's going to change the way that you ask questions about your insurance, and that's really the goal. You're not expected to be the professional in knowing everything that your policy does, but it certainly helps raise awareness and ask better questions, because depending on your carrier, they may be like Chick-fil-A. I take the number 1, I'll take the number 2, I take the number 3. You want someone that's going to have a conversation with you so that you have the full protection. And that's what I would encourage you to do, is to don't just write the check, ask to sit down or have a phone call and pull that policy out and talk through those coverages.
That's good, thank you. So Officer Salinas, I have a question for you. So what are the rules around driving in the left-hand lane and people kind of come up on you, you're like, slow down, buddy, I'm going the speed limit, or should you get over to the right lane? What are the rules around that?
It depends. The courteous, proper thing to do is get out of the way, stay in the right lane. Left lane is for passing only. State law, though, on the freeway, left lane is for passing only. They want that left lane clear for ambulance, police, or whatever, faster traffic. Because some people, they argue, well, I'm doing the speed limit. That's not what it's for. So if you have a car in front of you, you're in the center lane, and it's going too slow, when it's clear, you pass the car, and then you get out of the way again. The other thing I want to throw in there is those 18-wheelers on the highway, Their fast lane is the center lane. The right lane is the slow lane. So if you get in
I
front
don't
of an
think
18,
they got the memo. I don't think the truck drivers get that memo, because they're always in the left-hand lane.
well,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but for the most part, they try not to because it's against the law for them. So if you're in the center lane and you're doing 55 and a 65, and that 18-wheeler can't pass you in the left, they're not supposed to. Yeah, and you know, it's 80,000-pound vehicle. It's not going to stop as easy, or they can't see you. So get out of the way for the 18-wheelers. Let them just take the middle lane, go fast. The far right lane, that's slower. Why? Because traffic's coming in, they're speeding up, or traffic coming out, they're slowing down. But just kind of gauge it. But the left lane mainly is for passing. Also, just for curiosity, anybody here been pulled over before-ish?
You don't have to
here?
you don't have to answer that question. You have to self-incriminate.
You can plead the fifth. You see an emergency vehicle behind you, proper thing to do is turn to the right, get out of the way, and stop. Not just slow down. Because what happens a lot, people get in the right lane. I'm sorry I'm throwing that out there,
Good.
but
This is good.
I'm trying to get around you because I got to make a right turn out there. You're slowing down, but you're not stopping. So I don't know if you're going to stop for me to make that right turn. So stop. The other time, I was some guy going down Williams doing 75. I was coming from Sun City. Well, I couldn't catch up to him. Let me tell you why. Lights, siren to turn around, but the car coming towards me was looking at me, wouldn't stop. It slowed down, but I'm like, I need to do a U-turn. Am I going to cut him off and I'm going to get hit and I'm liable? Just because we have lights and sirens, you have the right of way. I can't just run a red light. I could be sued or go to jail. Lights and siren is for me to let you know, and hopefully you stop. And when it's safe to do so, it's not like Lethal Weapon where I'm going to ride on the sidewalk and chickens come out flying and you hit the cart stand with the fruit stand. No, it's not like that. So the car wouldn't stop, and I'm like, stop. And they just kept going slow, but stop. So by the time I turned around, yeah, that car, I lost him. He was going way too fast. I wasn't going to put people in danger, but I did want to get him. But anyway.
That's good information.
Left lane for passing. Get out of the left lane.
Okay. And I appreciate that too. So when you see lights, stop, pull over, do not kind of
To the right, stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, don't stop in the middle.
Pull to the right and stop. There's always going to be that one jerk that's going to go around you, or they're going to follow the ambulance and whatever. You know what? If they want to be jerks or if they want to break the law or whatever, that's on them. You just be patient and you get back on the road again.
Yeah.
Oh, last one. God, so many of them. The center lane is not a merging lane.
Yes, thank you.
It is not a merging lane. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're trying to get out. You want to make a left turn, but it's too much traffic. So I get in the center lane, and I start speeding up. And as I'm speeding up, where am I looking? Back here, right? Because I want to cut in. Are you looking at the other car coming opposite your way that you can't see that's going to get in the center lane to make a left turn? Or the car behind you, you're in the center lane, I need to make a left turn. The center lane is for making left turns, and you're riding it. Now I have to slow down, and then traffic could hit me from behind. The center lane is not a merging lane. So if it's not open, make a right turn, go further up to a traffic light, turn around safely, and just take your time. But it's not a merging lane.
And I would offer up, talking about boundaries, that is another great restriction, like for yourself. You're a right turn driver. That's, just start saying, I'm a right turn driver. If it's not a right turn there, I'm not taking it. Just make that part of your boundaries, because you're going to reduce the possibility of being in an accident or causing one by reducing the exposure. So right turns are great. Even if it takes you further out, become a right turn driver. Hashtag right turn drivers.
When in doubt, don't go out, and I'm a right turn driver, right?
That's right. So along those lines, in any given month, what are the top 2 or 3 types of accidents that you're seeing for seniors nowadays?
A lot of them are in private parking lots. The Wolf Ranch area, Target. We had one lady back out, hit a car, They didn't even notice, drove all the way home, and we have cameras and things. We got the license plate. We went out there, and it's just, I got one gentleman in a convertible, elderly. You know those gigantic concrete pillars with the lamps in Wolf Ranch area? I'm watching him because I'm working there the Christmas, whatever. They want security there. And I'm looking at him and like, is that guy going to stop? He plowed right into that concrete thing, wasn't intoxicated, wasn't on medication. He just told me, officer, I didn't see it. It's huge. It's right there. But it was kind of getting dark, but not quite nighttime. But a lot of them are parking lots. A lot of them are where usually they're getting rear-ended because, again, they're overcautious. So it's an opening. They're going to go, then no, never mind. And the car behind you thinks you're going to go, so they rear-end you. Those are the main ones that I've seen usually.
Okay.
Of course, I don't give tickets or anything, but I can tell you the number one thing that I see on the driving evaluations is people not maintaining their lane through turns. And so, for instance, if they're making a left turn and there's 2 lanes to choose from, rather than staying in that middle lane next to the center yellow, they'll turn wide to the right and cross out of their lane. Or if they're making a right turn and there's 2 lanes, they'll turn to the center lane rather than turning into the closest right lane. And so I would say that is the number one thing I see with older adults when I go on my driving evaluations is and they'll say, well, I made a right turn and I need to make a quick left. Well, yeah, but that's somebody else's lane. You can't just jump into it. You have to stay in your lane, establish your lane, and then move over. The other thing is turn signals. Please use your turn signals.
And
if
turn it off.
Yes, or don't turn it off too soon. I also see a lot of people turning it on. They'll look, and as they're changing lanes, and they're not even halfway through the lane, they're flipping it off. And so also, like, making sure that you keep it on for the period that you need it on, whether it's not too long or not too quickly either. But please use turn signals.
By the way, Texas law, if you're making a right turn, you have to, by law, make it closest to the curb. So you make a right turn, like she said, you can't jump over to the other lane. It's against the law. It's closest to the curb, and then if you want to change lanes, you got to use your turn signal continuously for 100 feet before you change lanes. So again, if you got to go further up and turn around somewhere, now to the left, you can make whatever lane you want, unless it's 2 lanes, obviously. If it's 2 lanes turning, you got to stay in your lane if you're in the left lane or in the outside lane. But turning left, like if you're going up Williams to the HEB, you turn left on DB Wood, you could immediately take the right lane at HEB. But if it's a 2-lane turn, you got to stay in your lane. So just be careful with that. But to the right, you have to make it closest to the curb by law.
Thank you. That's great information. So, Ken, could you put that slide, the car fit slide up? I want to talk about that for a few minutes. So, tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m., we're offering a free car fit event, and we partnered with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, I believe, and they're going to be out at First Baptist Church on University, Highway 29 there on the left as you're going west. And we have a sign-up sheet at the table, the Seniors Living Smarter table right here. But I wanted to ask Megan to kind of talk to us about it and the importance of it and why people here should consider attending tomorrow.
It's very laid back. So when you come, there's people there. They're going to greet you. It's a truly educational event. It's not a, hey, you're doing this wrong, and then they give you a checklist of everything you need to go home and fix, right? And so you show up, and their goal, overarching, is to help you fix your vehicle to you. Now, when you show up, you're going to get a checklist, and they're going to make sure that the steering wheel is pointed not at your head, because if the airbags go off, it could break your nose, but at your chest where it's supposed to be. They're going to make sure that your seat belt is hitting you correctly as it's coming across you. They're going to make sure that your seat is positioned at the right height. They're going to make sure that you know how to fit your mirrors in the right way to see appropriately. They're fantastic. They do this all the time. They're very knowledgeable. They'll go over any additional equipment that they think they might want to recommend. It doesn't take long, less than 30 minutes and you're out of there. You don't even have to get out of the car necessarily if it's kind of dreary and rainy, because I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow at some point. But it's truly a way that, especially if you've gotten a new vehicle recently, especially the new ones, They are able to be adjusted, but maybe you don't know how to work something in your car, and you can say, hey, why is this beeping at me every time I do this? Or how do I turn this off? Or what does this button do? They're gonna be able to help you with some of those aspects of driving as well. The whole goal is to keep you safe in your vehicle for as long as possible, and it is geared specifically to you, and it's free. I mean, who doesn't love free, right? I have Sarah, I have an occupational therapy student with me right now. She'll be there with one of her classmates. Texas A&M Ag Life will be there. You'll get some free swag if you want as well. It's just a really good program. It's let's see, AARP, AAA, and then the American Occupational Therapy Association collaborated to come and develop this program. So it looks at it from a very holistic, wide-ranging view, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, you get to stay in your vehicle. There's no shaming involved. It's just how to help and be safer. They do ask that we have you sign up. And so again, there's a sign-up sheet right here on this bright orange table on the corner, and there are 30-minute time slots starting at 9 a.m. all the way through noon. And if you say, well, I think it's a great idea for me, but I also know someone, tell them about it, and then give us a call, and then we can sign and put them in a slot. If you happen to say, I can't make it, and something happens tomorrow morning where you're like, oh, my appointment got canceled, I can make it, come on out. We're not going to turn you away. We may have to wait just a little bit, but we really are excited about this, and you know, when I reached out to Megan about this panel, you know, she mentioned it, we talked about it, and so the volunteers, they're looking forward to being here tomorrow, and it's really part of the heart behind what we do to help you live better, live wiser, and live more fulfilled. So excited about that. But take an opportunity, please, to check that out. So we're going to have a time of Q&A right now. So could I get an educational partner to be a mic runner for me, pretty please? But before we get to that point, again, we've got a couple of handouts for you. Megan provided one, so your action steps here. We've got some action steps for you. As Megan mentioned, in your packet, there's a section on driving retirement. Great information on this, so please check that out. And then you also have a handout on choose safe driving, and this is just 5 basic steps that you can take to be safer on the road today. And as I mentioned, if you could take just a few minutes and fill this out, that would be great. And then also, many of you do take advantage of this, but if you want to go ahead and sign up for next month, you can just check that box and we will register you. The seminar next month is about eating healthy, exactly, eat smart, age strong, nutrition that supports healthy aging. So we're very excited about that one. So any questions for the panel between Sarah Elizabeth?
Can you talk about the intersection at Williams Drive and Austin Avenue? There, as you come across...
I'm out of here from that one.
As you come across from Williams Drive and turning right into town, there is 2 lanes, 1 sign that says no right turn, and everybody turns.
Yes. They're not supposed to. Same one on Leander at the frontage road. It says no right turn and a red light. And people turn unless I happen to be driving there, and then they stop. But I'm sorry, we just can't enforce it. It's just we don't have the manpower. So many crazy things there. If you're coming north on Austin, making a left on Williams, the traffic coming south on Austin turns right because they could turn on right. So now traffic backed up. So people turning left, they're stuck, or you get one car through or not. The other thing is, we had one guy complain. He was coming south on Austin Avenue, turned right on Williams, and he wanted to cut left into the McDonald's parking lot. And he's upset that traffic's not stopping to make an opening for him. And like, well, they don't have to. But it's bad out there. All I can tell you is be patient. Leave earlier, because if we happen to be there and not on a call, we could enforce some traffic. But it just is what it is right there. Sorry. But you're not supposed to make a right turn. If I'm not mistaken, the center lane's not supposed to make a right turn on red. The right lane can. The right lane, you can still make a right turn on red because, remember, you're closest to the curb. The one in the center can make a right turn closest to the curb because he's got to take the left lane. And you can't do that on a red light. So.
Or just don't take it.
Yes.
Go a different way.
That's okay.
Yeah, you get honked at.
They're honking saying they love you.
Okay, and then I'll get you right there.
Besides the car fit, are there any programs that you can take to become a better driver as you age? And also, if you take that program, it would help decrease your insurance?
Well, I was going to say any defensive driving course is what most carriers are going to acknowledge. I'm not sure about CarFit, but usually a defensive driving course is going to be really a course.
It's got to be certified, right?
Right, and it has to be certified. So you could almost Google, but AARP does indeed have a defensive driving. But I think any defensive driving course is the way to go to answer your question. It's kind of like in basketball. Defense wins games. Defense saves lives. You need to make sure you're defensive in your driving.
Yeah, I was just going to say, defensive driving courses in Texas are licensed through TDLR, the Texas Department of Licensing and Rehab. And you can actually go to TDLR's government website and type in defensive driving, and any of the driving schools or programs in the state that offer those courses are listed on TDLR's website. So you can also go search there as well for very specific ones to your location.
CarFit is not a defensive driving. That does not count. Just, I knew somebody had asked that question, but yes.
I have two questions. One pertaining to the yellow turn lane in the road. I'm from New Orleans, and that was a shock to me when I moved here because we have neutral grounds. And when you're parked in a neutral ground, you're safe to make a turn. So I had nothing when I came here to guide me. So I have been totally confused. But I was told that I could make a left turn into the yellow lane, stop, and wait for cars, and then ease myself into the lane. I do know it's not a merging lane. In other words, when I pull over in that lane, I don't keep driving. I stop my car and I merge. Am I correct?
Yes. You could turn in and stop, but the thing is, a lot of people, what they do, they speed up in the center lane to eventually merge. So they still merge. You can't do that. So if you're stopped, from there you have to go immediately into the lane when it's clear and open.
Okay, so
Because-
I'm doing
just
it
because
right. I just want to
you're-
make sure.
Don't delay the merging because you stop, but you're still merging if you're traveling. Also, left turns, if it's two solid yellow lines, you're not supposed to block traffic to make a left turn there. If there's a break in the line, you could make a left turn, but if it's two solid lanes, yellow lanes, so for example, if you're going north on Williams, past the Quick Trip, the gas station, people turn left into that whatever business thing is there, and they'll block traffic on Williams. You can't do that. It's a solid double yellow line. You have to go further up and turn around somewhere. Is it the Einstein Bagels? It could be, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, what was the other question?
Okay, the other question is, do you have percentages of accidents that happen with those who drive too slow and cause accidents, with those that speed and cause accidents? Why I ask that, I have been in the car with drivers who actually stayed in the left lane, and not mentioning any names here, but I would say you need to get in the right lane because you're not going fast enough. The speed limit's 60 and you're going 55. And I was told, well, they'll just go around me, okay? And I'm a nervous wreck. But I also tell them, there's as many accidents with people who are going under the speed limit as going over the speed limit.
Yes. fairly, I would say speeders cause more accidents. Because slow, you caused them, but you didn't necessarily
You're not involved in them.
involved
It's the
necessarily.
speeders that are involved
It's
in
the
them.
speeders.
Yes.
So either way, it affects insurance rates, and it affects people trying to get home and trying to get to work, trying to whatever, or road rage.
Yes.
So the left lane typically is for faster traffic. Even if you're walking in a park, you stay to your right, people opposite stay to the opposite side. So the fast people, they pass to your left. That's why cyclists on your left, not on your right. So usually the left lane's for faster traffic. Now, obviously, if you have to make a turn, you kind of gauge it because the time of day, you may have to gauge it way, way back because people won't let you cut in. But the left lane's for passing. It's for passing. It's for faster
okay.
traffic.
I want to add too, because we also see younger drivers and medically complex drivers in our program, and they have to test at the DPS. And so we're always saying, well, what is the actual law that the students have to follow? And we've taken students to the DPS for testing. And I had one student who was going 10 miles an hour below the speed limit on his test, and he did not pass because they said he was a danger. And that he did not have good control. The evaluator told me later, if he had been like 7 below, we probably would have passed him, but he was consistently 10 below. Now, on the flip side of that, I've had a teenage driver who drove 3 or 4 or 5 miles over the speed limit on this test, and they also failed him. So there is a little bit of leeway. But
Over the speed limit is against the law.
Yeah.
It's against the law, period. Under the speed limit, it's more subjective to are you obstructing traffic or not. So if it's 2 in the morning on Williams and you're doing 30, all the way, if you're not obstructing anybody, that's fine. You're not breaking the law. But if you're obstructing traffic, it's going to be subjective to like weather and how much traffic there is or that kind of thing. But over the speed limit is you're speeding. Yeah, yes, sir? The shift change, huh? Inside joke.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the right thing to do when you hear an emergency vehicle coming? I see times when I really can't go anywhere, so I will stop, and some people just keep going and don't pull over. I mean, what's the protocol? What's right?
The law in Texas is you pull to the right and stop. If you can, safely so, obviously. Also, when the officer's trying to pull you over, a lot of people, I didn't know you were pulling me over. Well, if I'm behind you and ambulance coming, yeah, you're supposed to pull if safely to the right and stop. Not to the left for sure. Pull to the right and stop. That's what you're supposed to do if you can. If you can and they're on you, either pass the car in front of you or just slow down and let them go around you. Because you can't always, depending on traffic. Sometimes it's just gridlock. Same thing. You're supposed to pull over to the right and stop because you don't know if that ambulance or police officer or whatever is going to make a left turn in front of you. Kind of like me when I was trying to turn around to catch that car, traffic wouldn't stop. They were slowing down, but it wasn't giving me the confidence for me to take the chance. If there's a divider, like you can't go over the divider?
So
like a medium or something, like a grassy area or whatever, where it's very clear that the incoming emergency vehicle can't turn left, then don't worry about it. Yeah, if I can't turn a left there, then you're not blocking anybody.
But definitely on Williams Drive, no matter which way the emergency vehicle is coming, both sides should
I'm supposed to
stop
pull to the right and stop.
and pull over. Yeah.
Now, whether other people do it or not, that's on them. I arrested one for reckless driving because traffic was slowing down, pulling to the right. He got frustrated, took the center lane, punched it, and passed people. And I happened to be a second unit, so I pulled him over, and I actually arrested him for reckless driving, which is a Class B misdemeanor. I can't arrest for speeding, but I could arrest for reckless driving. The law is weird. Can I throw another one in there? Can you pass on the shoulder? Well, hold on.
You can't? Come on.
Hold on. I just want to clarify. If you're coming down DB Wood, and this big old truck in front of you is making a left turn, and they're slowing down, use your turn signal, pass on the shoulder. You can do that. If traffic's backing up and you're trying to get into HEB or wherever, and I mean, you could see the entrance there, but traffic's backed up. If traffic is stopped, You could take the shoulder slowly, safely, and proceed on the shoulder. Notice I said proceed, not pass. What's the difference? Because most people think, well, I'm passing vehicles. No, you're not. If traffic is stopped, you're driving on the shoulder to make a right turn. If traffic starts moving and you're going faster than the traffic that's moving on the shoulder, now you're passing. So a vehicle is not expecting somebody driving on the shoulder when traffic is moving. So you got to drive slower than the traffic on the shoulder, because otherwise now you are passing. And it's a possibility that a car in front of you wants to make a right turn and they're not expecting you flying through there. So the minute traffic starts moving, you got to be slower than traffic so they have that chance to pull in front of you. If they're completely stopped, you have your turn signal, yes, you can take the shoulder and make a right turn.
And that's still the solid line on the shoulder?
Yes. Even with a solid line on the shoulder, that you could take the shoulder.
Okay. Question back here.
Does TxDOT or TDLR have a hotline for those of us that have suggestions for improving traffic safety in our town, like Austin Avenue and Highway 29? I travel those all the time, and I see people, my heart stops because I'm afraid someone's going to get killed on Austin Avenue, either on foot or in a car.
I'll give you his personal cell phone later.
Yeah,
I want you to
right.
call him.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
Here's the thing you don't realize. I've taken some trainings before, and by the time the city does something, they already studied it for years. Years. They do all kinds of testings and things. So, for example, way back on Shell Road, they didn't have a traffic light there at the village where the elementary is. They knew the school was coming up. They had done all the research and things, and the reason I remember and I hate it is because I had to go out there and direct traffic in 101-degree weather sometimes because they didn't have the traffic light. So whatever suggestions you're making, more than likely they're already working on it. It's just red tape and things that falls behind.
I was just thinking pressure from the public might help move it along for safety purposes. I'm talking about families. They've installed a crosswalk on Austin Avenue, pardon me, but that doesn't slow the traffic down. Many times I've watched as families were literally taking their lives in their own hands, crossing when they were supposed to by the lights that are there, but the people on Austin Avenue are paying no mind. And I cross Austin Avenue almost daily.
Are you talking the crosswalks with the lights?
By the park, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we need to put a light
That's a
in
tricky
or
one, because there's some in Sun City, the crosswalks with the lights. Just so you know how those work, by the way. If you get there, and just because you're standing there, traffic is not supposed to stop for you. A lot of people think, hey, I'm here, stop, because once in a while there'll be somebody like, oh, no, go, I'm on my phone, or I'm waiting for somebody. If it's clear, like traffic has the right of way, if it's clear and you get into the crosswalk, now you have the right of way. A lot of people think, oh, no, it's flashing light, the driver's going to see me. No, you're still supposed to make eye contact and make sure so you don't get plowed by a car. But I don't know of a hotline to call. Maybe your city council member in your area could bring it up. And it gets tricky because part of it is city, part of it is county, part of it is state. Where is the money coming from? Is it going to affect other things? Because a lot of people think from one perspective, it's an easy solution. I'll give you an example, and I'm sorry, I hope I'm not taking too long. Who agrees texting and driving is unsafe? Thank you. Well, guess what? Congress says, yes, you can't text and drive unless it's checking the weather, reporting, blah, blah, blah. They had like 7 exceptions. Now, Officer Salinas, take out your crystal ball and know why she's texting or not texting in a school zone. There's things that they pass that they don't consider. How do you enforce it? There's rules that maybe from my perspective or your perspective make sense, but then they're like, well, have you considered this, because it's going to affect this, or like, oh, I didn't think about that. So there's not always a perfect solution, because whatever, it resolves one, but it may cause 10 other problems in a different way. That's why they test and test and test and they analyze and they engineer and blah, blah, blah for years. But some of them are very practical that they could implement, but then it's budget thing and when, and are they going to block traffic to fix it and for how long? And businesses are like, well, it's going to affect our business, and it gets complicated, but sorry,
I have a
tried.
quick question, kind of a follow-up. So there are times when we see, the police kind of camped out at an intersection or something. Is that because you've gotten calls about that? So it's, maybe, how does that work?
We've done that before. I can't say right now we do that. We do get complaints of an intersection. The thing is, there's thousands of intersections with complaints in Georgetown. The same guy that ran your stop sign in your neighborhood, ran the red light on Williams, and then ran another stop sign somewhere else. We can't be everywhere. Now, we do put our little trailers up there with that gauge your traffic, your speed, and they count cars, and they do all kinds of things to eventually test to see if we need to change the speed limit or add another traffic light, like on Williams where the, what's it called? The assisted living area also back there. It didn't used to have a traffic light, then they added one. It just takes time. They have to measure and engineer everything to consider what they do. But usually if officers are there, they're either on a break, or it happens to be that they're free and they like that intersection to stop people. Rarely it is that it's a directed patrol where they do send us, because the squeaky wheel eventually got the grease and we have to be there. But same thing like in DB Wood, it's construction. Everybody speeds through there. So when I'm coming up DB Wood, I don't even have room to turn around and stop somebody. So if I'm there, I'll go like, doot, doot, and then they slow down. And doot, at least I'm slowing them down. They know, they already saw it's construction, but where do I turn around safely without getting plowed, speed up with construction people to catch up to a vehicle? Where's he going to pull over to the side? Is he going to stop in the middle of the lane? Is he going to a construction site? So sometimes it's like, oh well, sorry.
Sandy, yes.
Okay, I appreciate your perspective so much. I'm a native Texas driver. Can you talk about enter on the green, exit on the red? That's what I was taught. If you enter an intersection legally on the green and you're stuck there because the oncoming traffic didn't stop until it turned red, you can legally make your turn. That's what I was taught.
Well, so if you have a green light, right, but you're still seeing traffic, if it's blocked and you get in there, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to, because people do that all the time. It's green and you're like, do I go for it and block and hopefully it'll move on time, because then it turns red on you and now this traffic can't go across. So but then again, if you give space, the freaking idiots coming this way, they make a right turn because it's open and they can make a legal right turn. A red light is still a red light. If you're stuck on there in a red light, you're running a red light. Now, the likelihood of you getting a citation, if that's explained properly and you're polite to the officer, it's not. The likelihood of a police officer being there, having to pull you over, it's not right now. But the law is still the law. I mean, just because it's green, you can't just block the intersection. It has to be clear for you to go across. Because if you block it, and now there's an ambulance trying to get into the apartment complex or whatever, and you're blocking, you can't get out of the way. What I've done, not that you're necessarily supposed to, if I'm blocking and there's a shoulder, I'll take the shoulder and get out of the way to let traffic clear. But now I'm stuck there on the shoulder, depending on how traffic is, if they're going to let you back in. Does that make sense? But no, it's a red light.
There's one thing I wanted, speaking of cars and lights and all the things when it comes to what's legal or it isn't. When you are in an accident, and I wanted to make sure I made mention of this, it is super important, even if the police officer isn't coming out, that you still place the call, because you need to make sure you have evidence that this happened at this time, at this spot, in this location. And previously they give you a crash report number, but there's some kind of indication of notice that says that I have support. There's evidence that this happened at this point. Oftentimes we'll think, oh, well, it didn't look that bad. oh, they were really nice. We just decided to go our separate ways. And then they wake up the next day, and then they call, and then you find out, wait, what? I thought we were all in agreement. So it's important when you're in an accident, you're not really deciding who was at fault. That's what the insurance companies will make that decision. Your responsibility is capture the data. And what data is going to be helpful? Knowing that you have evidence that the police were called, they may not come out, but that doesn't mean that they still can't give you information about, yep, this call took place at this time, and I wasn't involved in an accident with this car. So on my table, I have accident report guides. I was talking to a young lady earlier today that when you're in the accident, emotion and rationality cannot live in the same space. So you need something to kind of help you stay rational because you are emotionally tied up in what has just happened. And by the time you get home, you're like, oh, I didn't get the license. I forgot to get their driver's license number. I don't have their insurance. You're going through all of this, and then you end up calling your insurance company, and then you're also at a high in terms of frantic because you're like, I don't want it on my license. They did the hitting, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is the opportunity was to kind of create that sense of what do I need to capture? Everybody stay at a level of rationality. Let me capture what we need. We're going to separate that, and then you're able to move on to the next step because they do happen.
Clarify a couple things. Even if we go out, there's a difference between a report number and an incident report. So we could give you an incident or an event number. That means we document, maybe I ran a plate, I log people's driver's license. We usually give an exchange form. You fill out all your information, she fills out all her information, we exchange it. We're there to document it, but it's still not a report. Because you'll come later and like, I want a report from the crash. Here's the number. Like, no, we didn't take a report. A report's different. We report that to TxDOT. We do a little map of what happened. We put our opinion, what caused the accident or whatever. And again, it's just an opinion. Officers could be wrong. We weren't there to witness it. It's our opinion on what we saw. So, like often, they won't come out. Unless you're blocking and it's dangerous, they're like, sorry, we're not coming out. Exchange information. Georgetown, we're more customer servicey. We will go out if we have to, but document everything. At the very least, the plate number over the phone, if you got the driver's information, because what happens is they go home and mom or dad will say like, no, it wasn't your fault. We're not doing anything. We're not cooperating. Or their insurance is not current or whatever. And you could do your own report. We've suggested that before. You could do your own crash report without the police doing it. But anyway, that's a whole other topic.
That's good information, Stephanie. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
None of us want to be bad guys, and especially when we're talking to our parents or even our spouse trying to get them to quit driving. Is there, with the age of simulation and computers, is there a simulated reaction time test that older people, 65 and older, can take so that for evaluating their driving? I mean, I'm thinking something that should be on every driver's test.
I agree. There should be more testing for older adults. Unfortunately, there isn't. I mean, even with the testing that's out there, they just go in and they have you do the eye test at the DPS, and that's about it. Simulators are fantastic, but that's what they are. They're simulators. And so they can give you some raw data that potentially could say, hey, this person's foot reaction time is a little bit slow, but it's not a substitute for an evaluation. If a client does not want to do an evaluation with us, I say, fantastic, I totally understand. Go to the DPS and have a road test done. It costs $35. And they're the ones that are the end-all, be-all for the DPS is the only one that can issue and revoke a license, period. And so if you do have a question, send them to the DPS and say, hey, let's take this test to see if it is, if they didn't want to come to us. Now, unfortunately, that's about it. That's why, and there's not one component that can dictate success behind the wheel. Physicians all the time say, hey, I want, is there a test that I can do in the clinic that we can determine whether this person is fit to drive? And unfortunately, there isn't, because we are so well-rounded as individuals. Our brains are fantastic, and sometimes it can compensate for a physical disability, right? And so that's why assessments should be a little bit more well-rounded, especially when you're taking into an account a medical diagnosis. So fortunately, no. I wish there was. They're actively working and doing research, but at this point there is not.
Okay. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Again, please fill out your feedback form. And again, please sign up for the Car Fit event right here on the corner of this table, starting at 9 a.m. They have 3 stations every 30 minutes. And thank you all for being here today. Really appreciate it. And if all of our panelists will be at their tables here in the center, feel free to go over and ask some questions, and please say hello to our educational partners. Thank you all.